Wait! You'll not take her while I live.
Then I'll take her when you're dead.
Oh, the share, Captain. It has been honorably settled, has not been settled for me.
What is a girl, more or less? Do not be a fool, Captain.
C'est mon affaire.
Basil Rathbone's legacy is one of a series of monumentally memorable villains, but also this is offset by, of course, his long run as Sherlock Holmes.
I'm blessed if I know why on earth you want all these clippings about this Baskerville fellow.
I have an idea, Watson, that young Sir Henry isn't destined for a very long existence in this world.
What?
My conjecture is that he'll be murdered.
Murdered?
It'll be very interesting to see if my deductions are accurate.
He is Sherlock Holmes. He's the best Sherlock Holmes of all time. He also creates the way the British villain appears in Hollywood.
Did I upset your plans?
You come to Nottingham once too often.
When this is over, my friend, there'll be no need for me to come again.
The easy thing, I think, to say about the great Basil Rathbone is he was Hollywood's quintessential villain. And he was, to many respects. And he made those films tick. And he gave them such style.
Sergeant! Get there! Turn out the guard! Solo is somewhere on the grounds. Find him! Say it, I still can't believe the fellow was here.
If you'd sat here with the sword at your throat, perhaps you'd believe it.
And how on earth did he get it? That's what I'd like to know. And it's your business to find out. Well, what did he say? Oh, he wants me in Spain and Vega in my place. Vega? Now we have something. This Zorro is a caballero.
He was a remarkable actor who did remarkably well in Britain and in Hollywood, and was such a familiar face for everybody in those days.
Put up your swords! What? Art thou drawn amongst these heartless hinds? Turn thee, Benvolio, look upon thy death.
I do but keep the peace. Put up thy sword, or manage it to part these men with me.
What, drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word as I hate hell. All Montagues and thee, have it, thee coward!
Basil Rathbone was born in 1892 in Johannesburg.
His father, Edgar Philip Rathbone, was there as a mining engineer. He came from a family of wealthy merchants from Liverpool, and they had relocated to South Africa. His mother was Anna Barbara, and she was a violin player. But at the age of 3, the family had to kind of depart with great haste from South Africa because his father had been accused of spying by the Boers. He was there, obviously, as a Brit, and the tensions were rising that would eventually break out into the Boer War. It's never become quite entirely clear whether he genuinely was a spy or not. But one suspects, and also you rather like the idea that they might have been spying in the family because it seems to have a nice resonance with all the roles that Basil Rathbone would then play.
Basil then went to Repton School in Derby, where he took a great interest in athletics and in drama. So I think these sort of theatrical feelings came from a very early age. He also started at that stage, amongst his athletic prowess, to fence, which of course would come in very useful later on in his career.
He was there till 1910, and after that, really due to his father's pressure, he went to work for the Liverpool and Globe Insurance Company in Liverpool just to get a respectable career. But that was clearly not what he wanted to do with his life, and so within about a year, he was working with his cousin, who ran a theatre company. He gave Basil his break, playing initially in Ipswich, then gradually working his way to London, and even spending a bit of time in Broadway, playing a variety of parts. I mean, he built up a really good, strong stage persona and a good, strong tradition in theatrical acting.
He sort of got established as an actor. What came along was World War I. In 1915, the young Basil Rathbone was called up. In fact, he joined a Scottish regiment that at certain times had Ronald Colman and Claude Rains, as part of the regiment as well. I don't know, it was pure chance, and they never were there at the same time, as far as I can tell. But it seemed to be, guys who would be peers and co-stars in the future all seemed to go to the same regiment. But it was in 1918 when his younger brother, John Rathbone, was killed in action, that he was severely affected. And he had this kind of angry reaction to grief. And it almost made him reckless. And he would start going on these kind of reconnaissance missions where in broad daylight, sort of camouflaged and sort of covered with face paint, ironically, and go out and spy upon enemy positions. And would win the Military Cross for this kind of extraordinary brave behavior. But I think his wartime experiences had a big effect on who he was as a person and the kind of way he was as an actor. There's a kind of reserve in Basil Rathbone, an aloofness. I think it relates back to his wartime.
After the war, he returned to the theatre and he became very successful in the West End, in London theatre. He went to Broadway, so he had American experience. And he was clearly very, very castable. When he was in America, he started to work in silent movies, so he got film experience as well. He made several movies in the silent era.
Rathbone's silent credits include Trooping with Ellen and The Masked Bride. He then began to work in the earliest days of sound films and earned the lead in 1929's The Bishop murder case. But his real breakthrough on screen came when he starred in an adaptation of David Copperfield.
Oh, Davy.
Now, Clara, don't say, oh, Davy, that's childish. He knows his lesson or he does not know it.
He does not know it. I'm really afraid he does not. Edward, please.
David, sit down. Take a slate. If I go to a cheesemonger shop and buy 100 double Gloucester cheeses at 4 halfpenny each, and if I sell half of them at 6 halfpenny, 20 at 5 pence, and use the rest myself, do I make a profit or loss?
Rathbone's big breakthrough was David Copperfield, which had W.C. Fields and Lionel Barrymore. He played the baddie, the villain of the piece, the man who marries David Copperfield's mother and then abuses him brutally. It's a very sinister part, and he does it very well. He was worried at the time that this might typecast him as a villain because the character is such a Dickensian villain. But it's a great performance, it's a great piece, and this was as Hollywood was starting to embrace great works, the likes of Dickens and so forth, and Rathbone would get a lot of work in that field.
David Copperfield would be a spectacular success, and Rathbone would immediately follow it up with another adaptation of a literary classic when he starred alongside Greta Garbo in Anna Karenina.
Well, here I am, you see, burning with impatience to see you. It's very devoted of me, don't you think, after 10 years of married life?
Is Sergei quite well?
Is that all the thanks I get? Is Sergei quite well?
You have a comfortable journey?
Very comfortable, thank you. Count Vronsky, my husband.
How do you do?
So you left with the mother and returned with the son. You've been on leave, I suppose. Well, did they all cry their eyes out when you left Moscow?
I hope you let me call on you.
We should be very pleased. We're at home on Mondays. Tell me, Anna, am I not a good husband to come and meet my wife in my only free hour?
You're so sure of it, it leaves me nothing to say. How did my Sergei get on without me?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your Sergei hardly missed you at all.
I don't believe that.
Well, at any rate, not half so much as your husband did.
He then went into Anna Karenina, in which he played Karenin, Anna Karenina's husband, who was a stiff, pompous Petersburg official, whom Anna, of course, leaves for Vronsky. It was the kind of role that he was adept at playing by this stage, but he brings a level of humanity and sympathy to it, which was perhaps rather surprising. He's not just a sort of cold, calculating, aristocratic figure. You can actually understand his anger. You can see where it's coming from at the departure of Anna and the fact that she's fallen in love with someone else, in spite of the fact that it is his own sort of pride and sense of respect and hauteur that has actually pushed her away from him.
I've been lecturing your husband, Anna. He works too hard.
I stopped by Anna to see if you wanted to go home.
Lydia's asked me to stay for dinner.
Won't you stay too, my dear Karenine?
No, thank you. I've a great deal of work to get through this evening.
I will stay for an hour or two if you don't mind.
As you wish, my dear.
Following Anna Karenina, Rathbone then took on the role of Pontius Pilate in the last days of Pompeii.
Dispatches from the eastern border.
The insolence of these desert tribes, and Herod encourages them.
Would he dare, Excellency?
He has dared. He encourages their raids and probably profits by them. This chief of the Ammonites, he'd never dare so much without Herod's secret help.
Since Herod works against you secretly, can you not do the same to him?
I would. If I could only find a man.
Another outstanding performance, not exactly in a leading role, but one which was really essential, was playing Pontius Pilate in the last days of Pompeii. Now that was a great big historical epic, which didn't actually do terribly well at the box office, but at the same time got quite a lot of critical accolades. And amongst those very much approved by the critics was Basil Rathbone, because Pontius Pilate is a very difficult role. You have to be a little bit sympathetic, but also you're the villain of the piece after all. And he did that extremely well. One of his best performances, I think.
Oh, one thing more. It has been prophesied that 4 nights hence, a horse dealer will sleep at the inn in the village of Amman across the Jordan.
Why, Excellency?
Not merely a prophecy. I thought you believed in prophecies. I should believe in this one if I were you.
I believe in you, Excellency.
And not in my official capacity, please. As an official, I shall have forgotten you in an hour. As a private citizen, I shall look forward with interest to your return to Jerusalem. Goodbye.
In 1935, Basil Rathbone starred in an adaptation of the Charles Dickens classic A Tale of Two Cities.
Ah, my dear nephew, what goes forward here?
I'm leaving. I'm going to England.
Really? Monsieur Gabelle, when you were my nephew's tutor, you shouldn't have encouraged him to be so petulant.
You have made the name of Evremond the most detested in all France. I can't endure your cruelty to the peasants.
There is a sickness these days which labels itself humanitarianism.
You have no pity for those who suffer.
Pity, my dear boy, is a diseased variety of sentimentality. Do you pity the swine whose flesh we eat?
The peasants are not swine.
That, my dear Charles, is where you and I differ.
In The Tale of Two Cities, he plays the Marquis. Again, wonderful wig role. He has a sort of blonde, curly wig in this. And because he's got that great voice and that great imposing sort of hauteur and a wonderful aquiline nose, he's got to play the kind of villain. And so in a funny sort of way, his fear from the very first time he was cast as a villain that he might be typecast is sort of coming true. But he always brings another element to it. There's nothing black and white about Rathbone's villainy. It's always sort of tempered with some kind of buried humanity. And this is very much the case in Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, I keep forgetting, Gabelle, you're a humanitarian, aren't you? You think that one person is as good as another. A naive notion, so contradicted by the facts. But speaking of humanitarians, what has become of your disciple, my nephew, in the years since he left my tyrannical roof? Do you hear from him, Gabelle?
Oh, yes, he's very happy. He's taken a post at Tellson's Bank.
Frightfully bourgeois. If it weren't that my sister, Charles's mother, were quite beyond reproach, I should suspect that Charles had tainted blood somewhere. His conduct is so strange. It's quite mystifying.
After A Tale of Two Cities, Rathbone finally had a chance to demonstrate his remarkable fencing skills in Captain Blood.
It's clearly understood then, Levasseur, that we sail under my articles.
Those very severe articles of yours? May we, I sail under the articles of a girl so near to have you as my partner, mon capitaine.
Women will be the death of you yet, Levasseur.
Well, it is a very pleasant way to die, even if it is expensive. What is the first order, mon capitaine partner?
We sail on the tide. Outside the harbor, we'll scatter. Then each ship will proceed singly in order to pick up any stray ships we may find on the journey. We'll meet at the island of Virgin Magra.
Magnifique! I give you the toast to a great success.
The big one, to the greatest captain on the Caribbean.
Oui, the Captain Levasseur.
Captain Blood is a Michael Curtiz film very early in Errol Flynn's career, and it began a bond between Flynn and Rathbone that was to last for many, many years. Rathbone, when you think about it, Rathbone was the fencer. He was the dashing army officer with the military cross. He was Errol Flynn. And I think there's a good argument that he helped Errol Flynn become Errol Flynn. He was his sparring partner most of the time. They only played on the same side in one film. But most of the time they would be facing off against each other. But he taught him everything. He taught him how to fight. He taught him how to be dashing. Captain Blood is a great example of this. Captain Blood, Errol Flynn, is a convict who's sold into slavery, escapes, becomes a buccaneer, and Rathbone is a French buccaneer who's initially his partner, but then at a certain point turns against him. And there's a fantastic duel between the two of them, which Rathbone doesn't win, but you kind of get the feeling that he could have if he'd really wanted. It's a great piece.
Following Captain Blood, Rathbone acted in the only Shakespearean film adaptation of his career when he played Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet.
Fetch me my rapier, boy. What dares the slave come hither, covered with an antic face, to fear and scorn at our solemnity?
Why, how now, kinsman, wherefore storm yourself?
Uncle, this is a Montague.
Rathbone had already played in Romeo and Juliet on stage, although he'd actually played Romeo. So it was a change for him to play Tybalt, and yet it was perfect casting as Tybalt. He is probably the most perfect Tybalt on screen that's ever been. He's got exactly the right kind of energy. He's also dangerous. I mean, he really is he's a sort of dangerous, thwarted man.
So, a villain that is hither come in spite to scorn at our solemnity this night.
Young Romeo, is it?
Is he that villain Romeo?
Content thee, gentle Count. Let him alone. I wouldn't for the wealth of all this town here in my house do him disparagement. Therefore be patient. Take no notice.
I'll not endure him.
He shall be endured. What good man, boy? I say he shall. Go to. Am I the master here or you? Go to. You will not enjoy.
My uncle, 'tis a shame.
Go to, go to. You're a saucy boy.
I will withdraw. This intrusion shall, now seeming sweet, convert to bitterest gall.
Rathbone would earn an Academy Award nomination for his role as Tybalt. He then went on to star in his first film in colour, The Garden of Allah.
Count Anteoni, you are welcome as raindrops pattering upon a parched city. The flowers droop in your absence.
The flowers may droop, Bertouche, but never you.
Madame Enfield, this is Count Anteoni. Count Anteoni, this is Monsieur Androwski.
Greetings, madame. Monsieur, I hope I haven't disturbed you, but in this sun one heads towards an oasis as towards heaven.
Won't you join us for coffee?
Thank you, madame. In the desert, a fellow traveler is a friend.
It's charming and very true. But Touche tells me you live here, Count Anteoni.
Yes, madame, I've adopted the Sahara. Or perhaps I should say, the Sahara has adopted me.
Someday I must make a pilgrimage into the desert, as you do.
Let me advise you, madame. Wait. Wait until the call is so strong that it can't be ignored.
Marlene Dietrich, Charles Boyer, and John Carradine appeared with Basil Rathbone in The Garden of Allah. Basil Rathbone played a count who was also a sheikh, apparently. It seems rather odd, but anyway, he played it very well. He was such a reliable actor. He had a kind of patrician feeling about him. So whenever he played, whether he was a villain or a hero, he was always noticeable. And he got very good reviews in the film.
It's slightly melodramatic, it's slightly pantomime. It wasn't initially the case. I mean, Selznick wanted to ramp up the pantomime, and he inserted certain scenes into the film which made Rathbone's character more villainous. And Rathbone really didn't approve of this, and Selznick and Rathbone fell out very badly. Now, Selznick is a hugely powerful producer in Hollywood, and Rathbone will not bow down before him. And so Selznick said, well, we'll never work together again, and they never did. But it's a bold move for an actor.
Curious man, Mr. Androvsky. Who is he?
Just a fellow traveler.
And a friend?
I don't quite know.
The man who fears to acknowledge his God is unwise to set foot in the desert. The Arabs have a saying, madame. The desert is the garden of Allah.
In 1938, Basil Rathbone starred in The Adventures of Robin Hood.
My lady's hearing is a little defective tonight.
When you knock at a lady's door as if it were a tavern, you deserve to wait.
You seem upset.
Upset? Why should I be?
Oh, come now, my dear Lady Marian. You've played the innocent long enough. Let's be frank with one another.
I don't see the need.
You're very charming, Lady Marian, but not exactly clever. For instance, you couldn't possibly have failed to overhear what Prince John and I were talking about just now. No. Please don't trouble to deny it. And your first thought as Richard's loyal ward was to warn him. Am I not right?
Well, how could I warn Richard?
How did Locksley and his men arrange his escape from hanging after the archery match? Someone here in the castle must have got word to him.
That's ridiculous.
When Richard's in danger, what more natural than that you should try to warn him through Locksley? And you do intend to warn him, don't you? Don't you?
The Adventures of Robin Hood was one of the biggest successes of his career. He played Guy of Gisborne, another villain. And of course he played with Errol Flynn as Robin Hood. Perhaps the best of all the adaptations of Robin Hood, and there have been a great many.
The Adventures of Robin Hood is a Warner Brothers film. Jack Warner had enticed Rathbone, but also the director Michael Curtiz, away from Selznick's school and basically gave them the full backing of Warner's, which produced one of the greatest swashbuckling films of all time. So throughout the film, Errol Flynn and Rathbone are jousting with each other, and then they end with this spectacular sword fight that's one of the greatest sword fights that I think you'll see on film.
You know any prayers, my friend?
I'll say one for you.
Along with the adventures of Robin Hood, Rathbone also took part in the adventures of Marco Polo in 1938, as well as playing King Louis XI in If I Were King.
Tell me, Oliver, if you were one of our beloved rabble, that is, cold, hungry, with no good reason to love your king, what would you do, eh?
Well,
You'd desert to the enemy, wouldn't you?
Never, sire.
You think not? That is because you are not one of the rabble. You're under obligations to your king, who has rewarded you well for faithful services. But there are some who have not your high sense of loyalty, my dear Oliver. Look at this arrow now. It came over the walls last night from the Burgundian camp. See? A very clever device. It's a message. It's written in gibberish. But the one for whom it was intended would understand it. Wouldn't it be interesting to know who that one is? Eh, Oliver?
Yes.
If I Were King is, without doubt, one of the most remarkable performances Basil Rathbone ever committed to screen. It's about the poet-philosopher Francois Villon, who arrives at the French court. He's a bit of a sort of chancer, really. The whole point about this movie is to see Basil Rathbone playing the king in a mode that he's virtually unrecognizable. He's funny, he's eccentric, he's slightly bizarre, he's slightly hunched over. He talks and acts like a sort of old man. He's a sort of cross between Richard III and George III. It's the most extraordinary performance. He even changes his voice, so it becomes more high-pitched and cackling. He's like a sort of male witch. And yet, at the same time, you never forget this man wields the ultimate power of life and death over his subjects. It's a really, really clever performance, and I think this is the first time you see Rathbone, all his history in theatre, all his experience as a serious actor, both in the theatre and in the silent movies as well, come into being.
Rathbone would earn yet another Academy Award nomination for the role of Louis XI. He would then follow it up with yet another collaboration with Errol Flynn in The Dawn Patrol, and a performance as Dr. Frankenstein opposite Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. But in 1939, his career was forever altered when he first took on the role of Sherlock Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, while you were out, a gentleman called to see you and left this.
He asked you to give it to me?
Oh, no, sir. He just left it by mistake, I imagine.
Dr. Mortimer?
He didn't leave his name, sir.
No, it's here on the stick, Mrs. Hudson.
Oh, is it? I didn't notice.
Do you know any Dr. Mortimer, Watson?
Well, what did he want?
He didn't say, sir.
What do you make of it, Watson?
Why should I make anything of it? The fellow came to see you.
Ah, but what kind of a fellow? Let me hear you reconstruct him from his walking stick by our usual method of elementary observation.
Well, I should say that Dr. Mortimer is a successful man, well esteemed.
Good, excellent.
I should say that he does a great deal of his visiting on foot, because the iron ferrule is worn down.
Perfectly sound.
Let's have a look at this inscription. From his friends of the CCH. CCH. I should say that's the something or other hunt.
Really, Watson, you've excelled yourself.
Does anything escape me?
Almost everything, my dear fellow.
Huh?
The Hound of the Baskerville was perhaps the biggest success of Basil Rathbone's career. It was the first time he played Sherlock Holmes. Nigel Bruce was, of course, Dr. Watson. And those two, in my opinion, were the best Sherlock Holmes and Watson there've ever been. It was, I suppose, a fairly orthodox interpretation of Holmes and Watson, but they seemed to be absolutely perfect together.
It's such a well put together film that it sets up Rathbone and Bruce to play 14 Sherlock Holmes movies in which they define these two characters. Rathbone's features are perfect for the role. If you look at the line drawings that accompanied Arthur Conan Doyle's original magazine publication of the detective, actually Rathbone looks like him. He looks exactly right. It's as if he was carved for the part. And he has, you know, a way that Rathbone had, which was it's a slightly arrogant, slightly conceited, Rathbone could be pompous, he could be arrogant, and in a way that works for Holmes. It works better than anywhere. So he wrestled with the part, much as Arthur Conan Doyle wrestled with the character. These two men had this character Holmes who they fought with. They didn't necessarily always want to be that person, to write that person. But Rathbone kept coming back to him across the course of his career. And the only thing that finally broke his relationship with Holmes was when Nigel Bruce died. He was at that point, this is in the 50s, he was even though he constantly said he hated being typecast, he went to put a Sherlock Holmes play on. And when Nigel Bruce couldn't play Watson, he decided that was it, and that was the end of it. So there's a beautiful friendship at the heart of that. There's two actors who clearly work really well together and who really like each other, and he doesn't want to ever do the role without Nigel Bruce.
A present to a doctor, I'd say, is more likely to come from a hospital than a hunt. And when the letters CC are placed before the hospital, the name Charing Cross Hospital rather obviously presents itself.
Oh, you may be right.
Furthermore, I'd say the Dr. Mortimer had a small practice in the country and was the owner of a dog.
How can you tell that?
Quite simple. From the teeth marks. Look, you can see for yourself. A rather large dog, I'd say. And unless I'm mistaken, Dr. Mortimer will call on us again in a few moments.
Rubbish, Holmes. Rubbish. How the devil can you deduce that?
Well, as he left his stick, isn't it reasonable to presume that he'll come back and get it?
Dr. Mortimer, sir.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes. Come in, Dr. Mortimer.
I took the liberty of calling upon you.
And left your stick.
Oh, so I did. Thank you so much.
A presentation, I see.
Yes, sir, from Charing Cross Hospital.
The Hound of the Baskervilles was such a hit that it was immediately followed by The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Then in 1940, Rathbone starred in The Mark of Zorro.
What's this? Are you trying to commit suicide? Speak up. What's the matter?
Esteban, he was here.
Who was here?
Zorro.
Ridiculous. He appears to have addled your brain.
But I tell you, he was here in this very room.
Hey! Anybody pass by this way?
No one, mi capitan.
Has anyone entered this room?
His Excellency and yourself.
Anyone else?
No, mi capitan.
You need any more proof? Must have fallen asleep and dreamed it.
Did I dream that?
The Mark of Zorro was unashamedly a remake of The Adventures of Robin Hood. Beat for beat, almost. It takes the great character, the great masked hero, the first comic book hero in many respects. Tyrone Power, plays the hero. And Basil Rathbone, ostensibly replaying the guy of Gisborne, is Captain Esteban Pascali, the evil commander, the one whispering into the Don's ears, the font of wickedness in California that Don Diego is trying to kind of wipe out on behalf of the people.
The final actual duel between Tyrone Power and Rathbone is probably the greatest sword fight, and certainly the most complex that's ever been put on film. It's filmed in a series of sequences, and it's all swordplay. There isn't a lot of sort of pushing tables over, and running up and down stairs. This is the real deal. This is the real duel to the death. And there are long, long sequences, long takes, where it can't be faked.
Master has met his equal. Careful, careful! Are you tiring, Diego? Oh, Excellency, I'll take you on in a moment. Is it good? effort, Capitan. The next will be better, my fancy clown.
The Mark of Zorro would be another enormous success for Rathbone. But with the outbreak of World War II, he soon returned to the role of Sherlock Holmes for 3 films where the setting was changed from the Victorian era to the present day, and saw the famous detective going up against the Nazis. Rathbone also starred in other films with a World War II setting, including Paris Calling, International Lady and Above Suspicion.
Sig! Hey, this is a surprise.
How are you, Richard? I'm glad to see you.
I don't think you've met my wife. Darling, Count von Aschenhausen.
How do you do?
How do you do? Yes, I read that you were married. My congratulations. Mother, may I present Mr. and Mrs. Miles?
How do you do?
How do you do?
How do you do?
How do you do?
You stay long in Germany?
Just a couple of weeks, I think.
Come along, Mother. You don't want to miss the concerto, do you?
Oh, I don't mind if I do. These jumpings of Herr Klopp make me most nervous.
Well, Richard, I hope your stay here will be a pleasant one. Madame?
Good night.
Above Suspicion is set in the Second World War and is an espionage romp featuring Fred McMurray and Joan Crawford as newlyweds who get sort of caught up in a search for secret documents. Rathbone plays the Gestapo chief called von Aschenhausen, who is a very cultivated man. He meets this couple at the opera, and he's charming on one hand, very smooth, very cool, and actually quite sort of likable. And in the next breath, he is as cruel and callous as any Gestapo officer could be. This is one of those roles where he can flip from being really, really charming to really, really murderous in a sort of instant. It's not one of the most serious things he's ever done, but he takes that role seriously, and that's what makes the difference.
Thanks for getting us out of there, Sig.
No, don't mention it, please, Richard. After all, it was nothing compared to that night at Oxford, when you rescued me from the clutches of that proctor. Those were the good old days. I haven't forgotten them.
When we first met you tonight, I thought you had forgotten.
To tell you the truth, Richard, I was trying not to show my feelings. I must confess I wasn't quite sure that you would want to recognize me. After all, I know how people in England feel about us. In your land and in England, the country is the government and the government is the country. But they do not understand that with other countries that is not always so. For many of us here, life is not so easy. But this is our home and we must live in it.
When World War II had come to a close, Rathbone chose to play Sherlock Holmes one more time in Dressed to Kill.
There will call upon you tonight at 7:45 a gentleman who desires to consult you upon a matter of the very deepest moment. Remember that letter, Holmes? It was written over 2 years ago. An interesting case, devilishly interesting. Irene Adler. What a striking-looking woman from the brief glance I had of her. Seems only yesterday. What charm. What poise, and what a mind. Sharp enough and brilliant enough to outwit the great Sherlock Holmes himself.
I take it the new issue of the Strand magazine is out, containing another of your slightly lurid tales.
It is indeed.
And what do you call this one?
I call it A Scandal in Bohemia. Not a bad title, eh?
If you must record my exploits, I do wish you'd put less emphasis on the melodramatic and more on the intellectual issues involved.
More on the What do you mean by that?
Well, I do hope you've given the woman a soul. She had one, you know.
By the woman, I suppose you mean Irene Adler.
Yes. I shall always remember her as the woman.
Dressed to Kill was the very last time he played Sherlock Holmes on the screen. The film is about a missing music box which belonged to the Bank of England, and some villain had taken it. By that time, he was determined not to play Sherlock Holmes again. This was the 14th time on screen, which was extraordinary, really.
A brilliant antagonist. It's a pity her talents were so misdirected. Will you see that these plates are returned to the Bank of England, Inspector?
I still don't understand how you solved it, Mr. Holmes.
It's entirely due to Dr. Watson. He gave me the clue when he mentioned Dr. Samuel Johnson.
Well, congratulations, Doctor. Oh, thank you, Inspector. I don't think I could have done it entirely without Mr. Holmes's help, you know.
In 1955, Basil Rathbone starred in We're No Angels.
Hello! Hello!
Can't be a customer.
Santa Claus.
Convicts. What are you doing here on Christmas Eve?
We're No Angels had Peter Ustinov and Humphrey Bogart and was made by Michael Curtiz. Basil Rathbone had a character role in the film, but that's just what he liked to do because he felt that providing the writing was good, he could really act them properly and make a definite impression with the critics, which he did. Almost always people mentioned Basil Rathbone, whether it was a small or a big part. He was one of the centres of attraction of whatever film he was in.
After We're No Angels, Rathbone starred in the medieval musical The Court Jester, before sharing the screen with Spencer Tracy in The Last Hurrah.
What I want, very simply, is what your distinguished ancestors, the Pilgrim Fathers, wanted when they came to these shores 300 years ago. Better living conditions, specifically in Ward 9.
I call this confounded impudence, please. You had your answer to that this morning.
Well, I came in the hope that you might change your mind.
Sorry.
Are you speaking for Consolidated only, Mr. Cass?
I believe I'm speaking for us all. Indeed you are.
No reason to change. Oh. Well, now that does pose a problem. I hate going to the press and reporting that the city's leading bankers are opposed to slum clearance.
You may report, sir, that the banks do not consider this city a good financial risk. Under your administration, we prefer to wait until the municipal situation has changed, at least to some extent.
The Last Hurrah is a late John Ford film. It's a late Basil Rathbone film, and it is about a politician played by Spencer Tracy who's at the end of his career. This is a Catholic politician in a town which has a waspish elite who's trying to maybe stand for one more time, just one last go at running the town and doing the right thing. Rathbone's character is a banker who initially refuses to lend him the money he needs, but gradually becomes more and more involved in the opposition and helps a newspaper proprietor who's got a grudge against him.
He's got a sort of genteel quality to him on this occasion. But what the main thing was that he absolutely adored working with John Ford. He was a great letter writer, Basil Rathbone, and he said, you know, Ford was so amazing because he knew exactly what he wanted and he knew how to get it. So he worked not only very well with all the actors, but also with the director.
Following The Last Hurrah, one of Rathbone's most memorable performances in the latter stages of his career was as John F. Black, Esquire, in The Comedy of Terrors.
Mr. Trumbull?
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Black? How nice to see you, sir.
That remains to be seen, sir.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a singularly pressing...
A boon, sir. A trifling matter of a year's rent in arrears.
Has it been a year?
Each and every unpaid day of it.
Well, what do you know about that?
And much as I regret to done, dear sir, it is unhappily incumbent upon me as owner of these premises to regard your monetary dereliction as, shall we say, inconvenient to my purposes.
Oh, well, now I...
So vastly inconvenient, one might add, that should the debt remain outstanding for as much as 24 hours more, I fear that legal machinery must perforce be set in motion, and Messrs. Hinchley and Trumbull face the incommodious prospect of taking up a residence in the street.
In the street?
Have I expressed myself With clarity, Mr. Trumbull?
With extreme clarity, Mr. Blackhair.
Then we are of one mind. Our mutual interests in accord. 24 hours, Mr. Trumbull.
24
Good day to you, sir.
His career is an example of how the British actor was working in Hollywood during that time. The arrival, the sensational response, the move into intelligent, complex Hollywood productions, doing works of Dickens and Shakespeare, and then he hits Holmes. And that really then sets him into a particular pattern that is a huge pattern. I mean, if you think how many people have played Holmes since, and this is one of the great characters of the screen, and he is the one who says this is how he ought to be played. Can you do any better than that?
He gives nothing but pleasure, Basil Rathbone. He's one of those great actors that was a great character, and all his films might be far-fetched and genre and heightened, but he worked perfectly within them.
He brings a different dimension to each one. There's nothing black and white about what he does. He's an imposing, aristocratic figure. He has a wonderful voice, wonderful speaking voice. While Basil Rathbone had the demeanour of a villain, he had the heart and soul of a hero.
He didn't want Sherlock Holmes to define him. And when you look at the list of his films, it's very difficult to define them by Sherlock Holmes. Pontius Pilate he played, the King of France, all sorts of varying roles. And also he was able to take part in action films because he was such a good fencer too. So you could say that he was a remarkable actor. Basil Rathbone was a real star.